Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Black Brilliance Now. I'm your boy, Tate Desai from Mr. Big Head Reads, and we have partnered with Your Life Media and Marketing to bring you some of the best academic scholars, artists, luminaries in our Black generation today. And I'm super excited and I'm happy to have joined with me today a dear friend of mine. She is a scholar, she is a mother, she's a wife, a sister, a aunt, a comedian, all of the things. But most importantly, she is my sister. She's a co-conspirator in the fight for social justice. And I'm super excited to invite my friend, Dr. Brooke Berry, to Black Brilliance Now. How are you, Brooke?
Hey, I love that intro. I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be here with you. So now everything is all good.
I'm glad to see that you are looking great. You're looking fine. You don't look like what you've been through. Hello?
Hello.
We are here and we're here to talk about Black Brilliance Now. We are now in the month of February celebrating Black History Month. And I'm curious to know, when you hear Black Brilliance, what comes to mind for you?
Black brilliance. I think it's the hope, the joy of being Black American, right? It's this our innate ability to shine, right? It's our resourcefulness, it's our innovation, it's our creativity. It's we are able to just be, despite the confines that society may try to limit us to or define us as. It's our way of being that just allows us to elevate and excel and achieve really in every area that we step our feet into.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned achieve and excel, because one of the things that you know very well is achievement and being excellence, this notion of Black excellence that we hear all the time. But tell the viewers a little bit about your backstory and your background and the journey to where you are now.
Sure. In that thread of achievement, I'd say, I come from a family that always taught me about being Black from a strengths-based perspective. So, I have a great grandfather who was born into slavery, who ended up, receiving a degree from University of Chicago, which is a very elite university, to then becoming, the dean of South Carolina State University. And so it's unheard of for many folks, but I am a fourth generation college graduate,
Wow.
black girl from the South in the United States. So all of my grandparents received degrees, in higher ed. My parents also, educated folks. And so that Black brilliance, our particular thing was achieving through higher ed, but that Black
Mhm.
brilliance, is, as we know, is not limited to just, being educated, right? Formally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lineage of excellence.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
to hear when Black out being fourth or fifth generation college students, because often the narrative is that we come from, which is also true because both can be true. We come from sharecroppers and uneducated backgrounds, but there are folks, families like yourselves, who exist that have been producing Black excellence for generations. So I'm so happy to hear that. Would you mind sharing just a little bit about success for you? So coming from such a successful family, a family that's devoted to Black excellence in education and philanthropy, how do you describe success for you and what motivates you to continue your work?
Sure. I mean, I think success, the definition has evolved for me like over time. So
Mm,
at one point, success was, achieving the degrees and getting the job and getting married, and, being a mother. But success for me today, looks like those things, but also it looks like being true to myself, right? So having the
mm,
confidence to be who I am, to show up in spaces exactly as I am at all
absolutely.
times, right? To not
Absolutely.
have to filter myself to make others comfortable. So that's success.
Mm,
And what motivates me is the folks behind me. I think that's a part of Black brilliance too, is the responsibility that I feel to also make sure that others shine. And so I'm the mother of two sons, two Black sons. And so it's so important for me to repopulate this earth with good Black folks, right? But also that I'm living my life in a way that they can be proud, and that they can know what is possible for them.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I love how you mentioned looking back, right, and the folks behind you who are motivating you, that notion of Sankofa, right, reaching
Yes.
back
Mhm.
to look ahead, right? So we understand that there are stories, that there are motivations and inspirations that come from understanding our history and our stories, not only of our family, but of our country.
Yeah.
You mentioned this notion of being unapologetic, and I love that about you. That's one thing that drew me to you, is that you, no matter what spaces you are in, whether we sitting in a room with deans or VPs or the custodial workers, right? You are going to
Right.
be you. But I'm curious to know, as you have climbed the ladder of success within the education system, what challenges have you faced as a Black woman in this industry, and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, we shall overcome, right? That's aspirational. I'm
Mhm.
still overcoming. I will say, just even in this moment, um, other when I've had my toughest moments, I would say professionally and climbing this road in academia, there's always been another Black woman that has shown up in her strength and faithfulness to be the rising tide to help me lift. And so the challenges I've faced are that, these spaces were inherently just not built for us. And
Right.
so when you show up, you are expected to be a certain way. So we are often over policed, over scrutinized. And even if you show up in excellence, what many of us were taught at home and what my family taught me is, again, a strengths based, like you know what you bring to the table and you know your value, but you also
Mhm.
know that there are folks that will erect barriers. There are folks that won't believe in you, and you have to be better and do more. And so that's tiring, right? Because nobody
Mhm.
else has to think about that. You
Right.
bob, and you show up, and you be your mediocre self, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so, um, and so those are the challenges that I've faced, but I have found, finding community, like real community, has always helped me overcome. Finding allies and friends such as yourself. I think as Black folks, I think we do need to be unified and joined together. And I applaud you as a Black male in this space for always using your positionality and using your privilege to elevate Black women. Um,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, of course, you're welcome. And so,
Mhm.
we can find allies and others, but I think that it's important for me, that we also look out for one another. We can't forget that, right? There's
That's
space
right.
for more than one of us.
That's right. There's space for more than one of us. I love that. And thank you for mentioning just like where I am, because I always like to say that I am here because of Black women, right?
Mhm.
Not only because I was
Quite
birthed
literally.
by a Black woman, right? But that Black women have nurtured me, right? And even with you, right? Your inspirational story and just your example has been such an impact for me, who was witnessing your career and your life from afar. And we don't often give Black women credit enough, right? Of balancing a household, balancing the woes of what it means to be a Black woman in America today, mothering not only just their biological children, but the
Mhm.
community, right?
That's
And
right.
so
Yeah.
for you, like I have witnessed, and I want our viewers to understand, like, how do you manage it all as being a full-time mother, wife, and professional, and then also make time for the community and for your extended family? How do
Right.
you make sense of all of that?
Yeah, I think that we learn from generations before, right? So the issues that I have are maybe not necessarily exact same as my mother's generation and my grandmother's generation. So what I saw them do was kind of just put their head down, do their work, manage family, but ultimately be completely stressed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're doing something different in this generation. We're trying to
Mm-hmm.
change that. And so I've become very much vigilant about my boundaries and about self-care. So, on my calendar, I have a standing weekly meeting with my therapist, a black woman. And,
Mm,
in that space, it's so comfortable and amazing because they're just things that I don't have to spend time explaining to her. So I take
right.
care of myself, in that way. I also have chosen a partner that values me and my career and the things that I bring to the table. And so that person also makes space for me to have the time, just one of them days, right?
Yeah, right,
Um,
right, right.
yeah, so I think it's ever growing, right? I don't always do the best job, but it's so important, um, that we are thinking of ourselves because we can't. It's we say it all the time, but it's true. You cannot pour
Hmm.
from an empty cup, and there's
You
so
can't.
many folks that need pouring into, that I've got to take time to refill that cup myself. And I'm a person. We have this in common. We're very churchy, and I grew up in
Hmm.
church, but as I've gotten older, I've struggled to find, that church community. But my faith, my relationship with the Lord is personal, and that remains ever strong. And my faith is also something, that allows me to carry on, and focus on myself. So
Absolutely. And it takes a community, it takes a village, right, to keep
yes,
one another
yeah,
accountable, but
yeah,
also, also holding you accountable when you need to say no, right? And when you need
yes,
to take a
hmm,
step back and you're taking on too much. In the
yeah,
spirit of Sophia from Color Purple,
okay,
hell no.
all right.
Right?
I said,
Sometimes you just
oh
got to say
boy, here she goes. Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm also very curious to know, are there, certain individuals or movements within Black history that has inspired or influenced your work?
Yeah, I think that when we were taught, the family that I grew up in, the public school system that I grew up in, probably did a better job than most about teaching us about movements, about individuals. All the usuals have been impactful in my life, the Kings and the X's and Mary McLeod Bethune. But I have enjoyed learning, about those, unsung heroes, the women in the movement that were not highlighted, right? And so I love now, even learning to, today how we are currently still, making history. I love,
Hmm.
the our modern leaders, right? My contemporaries, people that are my age and younger, like my soror, Nicole Lynn, who
Yeah.
represented, Jalen Hurts, the first Black quarterback. She's the first Black woman to represent an NFL quarterback in the NFL.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
my now soror, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the
Yes. Yeah.
barriers that she broke. Rashida Jones, an HBCU graduate, who is, the first Black woman president of a cable network, an MSNBC. So it's me, this continuing to learn about the new folks, that are still making history,
Hmm.
2024, right?
Hmm.
Um, Still breaking ground, still breaking barriers that exist and are continuing to be
Right.
erected.
I appreciate you highlighting the modern day
Hmm.
leaders of our time, because we do get caught up in the MLK, Malcolm X, which are great, right? These
Yeah.
are the pillars of our community and of history, American history at that.
Hmm.
But it is dope to see the work that the young folks are doing and that modern folks are doing in our day and time, that you can see in real time,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Brittany Cunningham, and I'm thinking about
Yeah.
even our vice president, right? The first
Hmm.
vice president of the country
Right.
is a woman of color, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and a graduate of an HBCU, right? So
Yes.
it's like, this is awesome. Like, we were able to see this and reach out and actually touch
Hmm.
via social media, right? And,
Exactly.
and be
And
able
they're
to see
showing
their
up
lives,
as Black women, right? And that's what
right?
I value most too. I can look at each of the folks that we talked about and see myself and see my girlfriends and see my line sisters, and see, these are real women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real Black
Mm-hmm.
women.
Right. And so, with that, what advice do you have for young Black individuals aspiring to make a difference, whether it's in their communities or within their field of work?
I think that impact is within your reach. So you don't have to have a specific title. You don't have to necessarily have a certain amount of life experience. If you have a passion within you, if you can see where there are gaps, I think take the initiative upon yourself to fill those in. I think that the world, is so much more accessible now, and so you can make that difference. And
Right.
again, I think it's important. You don't have to show up in a certain way. So be yourself, right? You don't have to dress a certain way. You can wear your sneakers. You can wear your locks. You can, you know, blow out your hair or wearing it
Hmm.
knotless to your
Right.
waist. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just be yourself and be authentically you, and encourage your peers, bring other folks with you,
That's
right? Because
right.
there are folks that probably have similar aspirations, similar goals, similar ideas, and they might be scared to take that
Hmm.
first step. But you never know, by you being the one to lead the way, the impact that it's going to have on others.
That's right. That's right. You have said a lot. You dropped a lot of gems. And I am very curious to know, what do you want your legacy to be? And I know that you have two beautiful sons that you mentioned. You come from a legacy of folks in Virginia who are educators, who are, change makers. And so while there's a legacy within your lineage, I want to know, what does Brooke want
Right.
to leave back, what for generations to come?
Right. I want to be able to leave a legacy, of of greatness, of brilliance, of folks to know what is possible. Right. I feel like there's so much more, that I can achieve and I can do. But again, just the one step at a time. Um, I just want folks to know that they can do anything.
That's right.
Anything is possible. And
Hmm.
we'll talk about my physically though. For my kids, I also want to leave a legacy of free Black people.
Mm,
So I want my children to be free Black boys in the way that they can experience the world just like anyone else
that's
can.
right.
So, I have an 8-month old and he already has 2 stamps in his passport. And I say that not to brag, but because it's important for me, not only that, they see the world, but the world see them,
That's
right?
right.
These are Black boys that are living their lives, that will be global citizens,
Hmm.
that are interested in community, that love family, love one another. And before, society tries to label them as something else, they will already know internally that none of that
That's right.
matters.
That's right. Because they
Because,
got
we
that
are
that
Brooks.
ground, that foundation is right.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
started early. And I hope that viewers watch this, our friends, community members, strangers, know that you have the opportunity to live a life that is full of possibilities. There is so much to
That's
see,
right.
there is so much to experience. And I hope that folks are encouraged by this. Brooke, are you able to share anything that's coming down the pipeline that people can look forward to in your life, in your career? How can people follow you? What are your platforms and things like that?
Sure, people can follow me on Instagram at Brooke Berry. So Brooke with an E, Berry with an E, EDU, on Instagram. Also, they can follow us at Virginia Commonwealth University, the Office of Inclusive
Mhm.
Excellence. Um, we do a lot of great training, program, community initiatives where we're focusing on uplifting our communities and centering equity and excellence in all that we do. So,
Well, thank you for sharing just this moment with us to highlight the brilliance not only of your life, but your family, and hopefully the brilliance of future generations to come. And thank you for just
absolutely.
sharing this time in Black History Month. You have any fun plans
Any
for the
fun plans
month?
for Black History Month? We've got a whole lineup packed at Virginia Commonwealth
Okay.
University. If folks are in Virginia, check out our website for for that list. I'm hoping to try to attend Alvin Ailey
Yes.
performance at the Kennedy Center. Maybe one of my friends will join me one
Maybe.
day.
Let's see. Come on. You got so many. You got so many. Well, I love you and I thank you. Happy Black History Month from Black Brilliance to your
Yes.
family. We appreciate you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tate.
See you
Thank you,
all.
Black
Bye bye.
Brilliance.